This is the group project on prisoners with HIV, AIDS, tuberculosis, and infectious diseases, brought to you by the wonderful minds of Ronald Kaler, Brian DePriest, Alexander DeWall, Takina Fowler, Ashley Hahn, Dustin Gilder,
Austin Kent,
Caitlin Herbert, Emily Waters, and Jonathan Weaver. The first thing we have to consider when talking about prisoners with HIV, tuberculosis, and AIDS is, where they are, their population demographics. Our group did a lot of research on this, and we discovered that the population has steadily declined, not increased, in the past 13 years. In fact, according to data from 2008, 2,075 state prisoners and 1,538 federal prisoners were reported to be living with HIV and AIDS. This is approximately 2.4 times the rate of the general population. And, also talking about demographics, we gotta break it up into race here. So, we discovered that out of the 120 AIDS-related deaths in state prisons in 2007, 65% were African American inmates, 23% were Caucasian, and 12% were Hispanic. There are several difficulties in treating HIV, AIDS, and tuberculosis and other infectious diseases that are rampant in today's prisons. These include, but are not limited to, privacy,
frequency of medication,
distrust of the medical and legal system, fear of side effects, and rejection of quality health care by the courts. And that last one really gets the prisoners, because if they can't get the health care they need, what are they going to do? They're just going to sit in their cells and slowly die of an autoimmune deficiency. Which, hey, that's what AIDS stands for. Thank you, myself. And next we moved on to the geographic significance. That means, where this is taking place. And we found that 3 states make up 49% of the infected offenders. I'll take a moment for those of you at home to take a guess at those 3 states. No, you were wrong. Those states are New York, Florida, and Texas. Good old Texas. And there's a lovely graph that we have put together for you in case you don't like my voice, which I know I don't. And next we moved on to the problems with infectious disease offenders. We only found 3, but I'm sure that you could find more if you did some work. I know you've got it in you. But the 3 that we found were threats to the rest of the correctional population, threats to the community upon release, and potential of infection and the spread of disease. So basically what that means, let's go back to threats to the rest of the correctional population. You don't want to stick someone who's got a disease just in close quarters with a bunch of other people who they could get, sick. And HIV/AIDS kind of spread through, the ugh. And from what I hear, prisoners like to do the ugh quite a bit. Second, let's go to that number 2 there, the threats to the community upon release. It's a disease, people. It's spread through viruses, contact, it's a disease. You don't want someone with a disease out in the community. That's just, you don't want that. You don't want innocent people being killed. And that is why Batman had to fight Bane. Because Bane was killing people and it wasn't cool, and he did the whole
darkness
thing, and
I was born in it.
That. No one wants that. That's bad. That's not good. The third problem is the potential of infection and the spread of disease. We already talked about that. Come on. That's what I just spent like a minute or so going over. Finally, we got to figure out how to fix this. So we came up with about five solutions how we can fix this. First of all, prevention. Second of all, quarantine. Quarantine the mess out of those prisoners that have this disease. It's like any other disease. H1N1, H7N9, all those other diseases. If you've ever seen the movie Contagion, have you? No, you have not. Because you did not want to, and other reasons like that. Anyway, you gotta quarantine and you gotta segregate the disease from everyone else so that you don't have people dying and being sick, and that's just not a good situation. Not a good situation. In fact, I brought my friend Chewy here to tell you how bad of a situation it is. How bad of a situation is it, Chewy? Well, that about sums it up, folks. Another way you can fix this problem is classification. You can classify it into different types, different stages of HIV, tuberculosis, and AIDS, and that helps us know a little bit more about what to do for that person, how we can help them, all that jazz. And, you gotta educate. You gotta educate people about risk behaviors, which we go back to the UGG. No UGG for people with HIV and or AIDS. Especially not if you have tuberculosis. I'm not even sure if you're in the mood for UGG if you've got tuberculosis. I don't know, maybe. I've never had tuberculosis. Anyway, final thing you can do to fix this, staff. You gotta just provide staff to prevent the violence. Well, folks, that's about all the time we have today. So, tune in next week for more riveting speech. And, stay frosty.